Howdy, and welcome back to These Two Hands Homestead, where we believe with these two hands and God's will, we can do anything. We're going to pick up where we left off with this rabbit hutch. What we're going to wind up doing today is working on the sides and the back and getting everything ready to put the guttering system on. And then if we get to it tonight, we'll work on the doors, but that may have to come in the next video. Now the first thing I have to do is fill a couple of these little spaces on the sides. We got to put a 2x4 in here and here on each spot so that we fill in this space that's created from the legs here where they stick out from the platform. That way when we put our sides on here, everything will be flush and secure, and there won't be any space for the rabbits to get out or anything to get in. So we'll get those cut up and popped in there, and I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, so we got these done. It's real simple. All I've done is just put an extra little piece of wood here to fill in this space between where these platforms end and the end of the legs here. What this allows us to do is when I put the sides on here, everything will be flush across here, and there won't be any spaces for the rabbits to get out above or below. There won't be any space for anything to get in here after our rabbits. Nothing real special, just drilled a couple holes and popped a couple screws in here. Just has to be enough to hold it in place. You don't need fancy screws, or fancy boards or anything too particular with this. These are just some scrap pieces off of boards that we already cut. Even some of these have some weighing and a little bit of checking in them too, so it's not going to make any difference as long as it fills this gap. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our boards for the sides and the back cut down. We're going to use this plank stock here, and what I'm going to do for these is make sure that our edges are all straight, and then I'm going to cut them into 8-foot pieces for the back and 2-foot pieces for the sides. And when we do these, we're only going to be covering from here to here with the backs and the sides. So from here to here with the sides as well. Really, because there's no need to come in here and put any extra sides where this guttering system is, where the rabbits are not going to be, because this thing's already really heavy, and adding those extra sides is only going to make this pick up wind, which is going to make it more likely to tip. It's going to also funnel more wind down on the rabbits if we do this. If the wind blows against the face of this cage, rabbits don't like wind. They can handle a lot of things, but they need to be able to get out of the wind. The other reason, like I said, this is heavy. There's no reason to make this tip over and harder to stand back up than it already is. I'm making this out of oak. Most of the time, if you don't have your own sawmill, you're probably going to be making this out of pine boards, or construction lumber that you're going to find at Lowe's or Home Depot or one of the big box stores. That's fine, perfectly okay to make it out of that. This is what I have available to me. This is how I save costs milling out my own lumber. I've got oak trees around here for days. There are plenty of them standing dead. These boards that I actually milled out are from the tops that were left over from some logging we had done here. So none of it goes to waste. We use every bit we can here. What we don't use in construction projects, we burn or we mulch up and put in our gardens. So now that I'm rambling on, I'm going to go ahead and get busy getting these sides all prepared to put on here, and I'll come back and show you putting them on here. So we'll catch up with you then. Thanks. Well, wouldn't you know it, we got the back done and we ran out of lumber, so we're going to have to go and mill up some wood for the sides. Come along with me and I'll show you how we're going to get that done. Okay, we're out here at our sawmill. This is a Woodland Mills HM126. They didn't sponsor this. I bought this thing with COVID stimulus relief money to help with the farm. Same check that everybody got. We just decided, hey, we're going to invest this because we were in a good way at the time. So we use this sawmill. It's a nice, easy sawmill, little home size or homesteader size. We're going to just take and mill this down into 1-inch slabs, run them. Then we're going to resaw them down to the boards that we need to go ahead and finish up that rabbit hutch. I'm going to turn the mic off so we don't blast your ears out with this, but we'll let you see us making a few cuts here. All right, so you can see here, this is giving us 5 boards. These boards are going to be 7 inches by 1 inch. Right on the nose. Now this log has been sitting for, oh gosh, I don't know, at least a couple years. So there's a little bit of checking and spalting in it. Nothing that's going to really affect it though. This is red oak, so it's pretty stringy and likes to stick together for the most part. So we're going to take this inside and use it to finish up those sides. Okay, so we got the guttering system figured out. I'll show you that here in just a second. One thing I did off camera, I went ahead and I put these cross pieces in here. I just fastened them in with a couple of pocket screws on the back. And we went ahead and detached this cage wire to the front. This just kind of basically completes the entire front except for the doors. Now if we go around here to the back, you can see what we're going to do with this guttering system, and then I'll kind of walk you through step by step how we got to this point. This guttering system starts out, come in close here. It starts out up here, and so the poop will run down here, come into this PVC, and roll down to the end. Where it'll come down this elbow, connect with the other run of guttering with a T right here, and then it will drop, all the poo will drop down into a bucket that we can put right here on the floor. In order to get this to hang up here, I did a few things. We had to make a cut in the PVC and heat this up with we used a weed burner torch. Makes the PVC malleable, and we bent it back until it was all up like this, kind of peeled back so it acts like a gutter. And this being a little bit higher than where this sheet metal ends is going to allow any of the stuff that comes off here to hit this and go down into the gutter. For our guttering brackets, I just cut off some small 1/2-inch PVC pieces and then put a screw completely through those. This will keep the screws from getting corroded or whatever by any of the urea in the rabbit's poop or pee, so they don't get corroded, and that keeps them from rotting over time, which will cause the gutters to fail over time. This doesn't look all that pretty. If this bugs you or whatever, once you do it, you can go back and paint this. Truth be told, the rabbits aren't going to care, and this will most likely be up against a wall somewhere or back, at least out of plain view, so that nobody's going to really see that. So let's look at how we actually did that. So we're taking our 2-inch PVC. This is just 2-inch Schedule 40 PVC. This is actually, it's the cheaper kind. It's not for pressurized, so it's like drain pipe Schedule 40. I think it was like $2 cheaper for a 10-foot run of it. So again, it doesn't have to be fancy. We're not putting pressure. We're not even going to wind up gluing most of this together. So it doesn't have to be all crazy. Get the cheapest stuff you can get, is 2 inches. And then we're going to measure down 8 feet 6 inches. Now, our hutch is 8 feet long. We want about 6 inches worth of extra, so we can put an inch out one side and 5 inches out the side where the hardware is going to be, or the corners and the T-piece and all that stuff's going to be. This just allows us for those fittings to go on easier and more smoothly, and it also allows you to set a bucket off to the side, and it'll go kind of right in the middle of the bucket. So we're going to cut this pipe off at 8 feet 6 inches. Just make a little mark here, and we're going to take that over the chop saw. Now when you're cutting PVC on a chop saw, you want to be very careful and make sure you get your saw up to speed before you engage it in the PVC. If not, the PVC can heat up and grab a hold of the blade of the saw and jerk your hands into it. You don't want that. So we're just going to take this, pop it down here on the saw. Nice quick pass through. This keeps everything nice and clean. We don't have any melted points on there at all. So all the ends and fittings will fit on there nicely. Now the next thing we're going to do is bring this back over here to our work table. And we're going to measure, get down. We're going to measure 5 inches from one end. And I like to do this with the writing up. This just gives me a good idea so that when we make our cut, the length of it, we can keep it in a straight line. So we're going to measure 5 inches roughly from one end and 1 inch from the other end. And what this does, this gives us a start and stop point for our rip cut that's going to go the length of this. Over here at the table saw, what I've done so that I have good measurements, marking points, I set this up so that this blade is going to cut as far from the fence as I want that cut to go from the edge of the PVC. This kind of keeps it right about in the middle of the PVC at this measurement. Another thing I've done is I've made some marks here on my table saw for where the edge of the leading edge of the blade and the trailing edge of the blade, or sorry, leading edge and trailing edge of the blade are here. And this allows me to do a drop cut because I can line these marks up that I made on the PVC along these lines over here as I drop this down onto the saw. Now you want to be, this isn't something I would recommend doing if you're kind of an amateur saw user. But you want to be really careful when you do this because you're dropping this down onto a moving spinning blade. That can go here, there, everywhere. You can pull your hands into the blade. So you want to be real careful as you're doing that. So I like to have a helper when I do this just to help guide the piece. So I'm gonna pause for just a second and get my helper lined up, and then we will show you how to make this cut. Okay, so we're gonna line this up. We're gonna turn and kick the saw on, and you're probably not gonna be able to hear me after I kick this saw on, but we're gonna kick this saw on, line it up, and make this rip cut. Whenever you finish that cut, you want to make sure that you lift this PVC straight up off the blade. If you bend it, twist it, whatever, try to come back, you're going to run the risk of kickback. Again, you're going to run the risk you might blow this out. Or you might also, again, pull your fingers into the saw blade. None of that's good stuff. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to double check that this cut went the entire length, and if not, we're going to finish the cut with just a jigsaw, because we can do that with just these little bits of a cut. So this one looks like it came up about, maybe 3/8 of an inch short. So we're going to go ahead and mark this here at 5 inches. I'll come down here to the other side. And this one actually got really close. I think we're only a 1/4 inch off here. So we can come down here and hit that. So we're going to get our jigsaw plugged in here.
Go plug it in.
What?
Never mind.
And just make a real quick small cut on either end just to finish these cuts down the way. We want to kind of hug right up next to the line. To double check to make sure that I cut the right angle on these, and then we're going to take this over to our chop saw again, and we're going to cut 2 1/4 inches back this way, so that when we peel this up, this flap comes up this direction. So I'm going to double check everything, make the measurements, make some marks, and I'll be right back. So we're back over here at the chop saw. We're going to make sure that we have this lined up really well, and we're going to be very, very careful doing this. Again, we want to get this blade all the way up to speed before we start our cut. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to drop this down so that the leading edge of the blade here hits just this right here, and then we're going to rotate this until the trailing edge comes back here and hits this line. And that's got that corner all loosened up there. I'll flip it around.
You got me.
Alright, Toots, watch out. And we're going to do the same thing but in reverse here. Again, we're just starting our cut here at the edge, and we're going to work our way back around to here. Alright, and that one's got that one free. It looks like there's a little piece in there, but trust me, it's fine. The last step we're going to do, I'm not going to do this on camera just because it's a long, tedious process. We are going to take a weed burner torch and heat this flap that we just made up and work it over time along the edge of a table to kind of pry it up and flatten it out. There's probably 150 different ways you can do this. If you don't have a weed burning torch, you can use a heat gun. You can pour boiling water on here multiple times and heat it up with boiling water. That'll keep the PVC from scorching and making all those ugly, disgusting looking marks on the back of it. This I just find is probably the most expedient, and I need to get this done because we've got a rabbit that's due to give birth any day. So we're going to get that done, and then I'll go back and walk you through fastening this on and putting the last pieces together. Okay, so we've got this opened up here, and what I did to make it easier this time, I just toasted this like a campfire marshmallow. Made it a lot easier. Again, nobody's going to care. It's going to serve the function I need it to serve, and it's not, it doesn't have to look pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start setting these 2-inch pieces, or 2 inches long, 1/2 inch PVC right inside here, and these are going to be where my 3-inch screws go through to help fasten this to the back of the rabbit hutch. And we're going to start with one on either end here before we carry this to the back, so that it makes it nice and easy for us to get it started, and then we work our way down and putting them in the middle. So these just kind of pop in here. And they take a little convincing. You might pinch your finger a time or two. That's okay. If you need to, you can peel that back a little bit more. Kind of want to be careful because this PVC is going to be slightly more fragile now. But you can just pop these little stinkers in there. Alright, so when they won't budge, sometimes you can get a pair of channel locks and convince them to go. So then we're going to take screws, put them on our tool belt, and take this back over to the other side, where we get our other assistant to help us hold it. We're going to take and kind of just work this screw in here just a little bit. This PVC, now you can understand me, this PVC should still be a little malleable, should be a little soft. So we can get this started actually and run all the way through. You want to watch out for your fingers because getting poked in your finger doesn't feel good. We're going to start this right up against that sheet metal there. Go ahead and screw that down good and tight. And move to the other end. Again, we're going to take this, get it started here in the soft PVC, run it most of the way through. And we're going to get this right about so that it's just above the bottom of that board. Fasten that in there. Okay. Then we're going to come back and we're going to put the other, these other pieces in, kind of dividing. We'll divide it in half, and then we'll divide each half in half and pop these in. So I'll get those put in, and then we'll come back and we'll show you how to connect these pieces. Alright, so we've got these in here. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to take this 90-degree elbow. I'm just going to slap that on there like that. We're going to take this T. This is a 2-inch by 2-inch by 2-inch T. It's going to slap in there right like that. Next thing we need to get is our tape measure. And we're going to measure the span between here and here to make sure that we take our next section of PVC that'll span these two pieces. And so what we're looking at here is about 26 inches. Now the pieces that I have left here are only 24 inches long. So one of the things that we're going to have to do for that is we're going to have to cut each piece down to 13 inches and then duct tape them together, because I'm not going to go out and buy a whole nother section of 2-inch PVC just to do that little bit over there, because it's expensive. So we'll take our cut off from the rest of it, measure out 13 inches, bring it over here to the chop saw. Lather, rinse, repeat. And then we get some Gorilla Tape and tape these together. Okay, so it turns out I'm out of duct tape. That's okay. We got packing tape. It again doesn't have to be fancy. As long as it just has to stick and stick the two pieces together. And we can make this work with the packing tape just the same as we can with the duct tape. Line them up. Put tape around it until it's not wiggly anymore. And after you wrap this around about 7 or 8 times, it'll be just fine. And always, always fold your packing tape back over. That little 1/2 inch of tape that you lose folding that over is worth every minute you're going to struggle trying to find the end of that thing. Alright, so now we have this. It's strong. You can see I'm trying to bend it. It's not bending. So we're going to bring this over. Pop this into place. And friction and gravity will hold it together. Alright, now then, this guttering system is all complete. If you wanted to make it a little bit closer to the bucket, you could put, you know, another little piece in there, but you can put your 5-gallon bucket right underneath here, and all of your rabbit waste is going to run off here, down into the bucket. Doesn't matter, front, top, or bottom level. Another thing you can do if you want to, you can cut out a little bit of wood pieces and put here for end caps. That's if you just want to get super fancy with it. I don't care. I'm not going to worry about if maybe 2 or 3 little rabbit pellets fall out here and roll onto the ground. It's not the big deal. So that's all we've got for today's video. When we come back next time, we're going to be putting the finishing touches. We're going to be putting the finishing touches on this rabbit hutch. We're going to be building our doors here. We're going to be closing in this area in between the top and bottom run of cages here and on each side. This is going to keep wind from being able to blow through here and get funneled down onto the rabbits. So if you like what you're seeing, come back, keep in progress with us, and until next time, be blessed.
Thumbs up, dude.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.